Welcome on into the Fantasy Football Forge. My name is Steve, and today we will be going over some last minute risers and fallers leading into your draft weekend. So let's get to it. If you like the video, like, comment, subscribe. That's always appreciated. We're going to start off with the quarterback position. And we got a kitty cat joining as always right when I record. She wakes up. So, for the quarterbacks, couple of fallers-ish. Not a whole lot here, but Kyler Murray has slowly been falling a little bit overall in drafts. So he is someone, if you miss out on some of these guys, you like Kyler, that you can get closer to the Dak Prescotts, the Brock Purdy's now of the world. And so maybe you like him more than them. Tua Tagovailoa can be had quite late. I assume because of all the bad news going around for Miami, he's been falling. I think there's still, a solid chance for him to outperform this kind of 20-plus-ish quarterback production on the season. So if you happen to miss out on all of your targets, don't worry. You could take Tua and hope for the best. Probably take somebody else just in case somebody with some upside potential. Wouldn't be a bad idea to add to that, or even a Geno Smith or Sam Darnold just to pair with them, find the best matchups. Those kinds of plays might be your best play if that's what you end up doing. And also, Dak Prescott has steadily been rising over the last month. A guy who, once upon a time, you could get quite late, goes a little bit earlier these days, sometimes pops off even earlier than that in a lot of the mock drafts that we've been doing. So those are your quarterbacks. Let's move on to the tight end risers and fallers. And I will add, this video isn't, these guys are guys who I think should be rising or falling. It's just looking at the market, looking at if you've been practicing mock drafts, especially over the last month, some of the changes that you will be seeing, and some of the players who maybe now you've got to go out and get them earlier in your draft, or you could wait that extra round maybe later than you've been used to drafting them. Interestingly enough, my first faller for the tight ends is going to be just completely speculative. TJ Hockenson. I don't know if this news is coming too late for people to care about it, but Adam Thielen going to Minnesota could take the cap off of TJ Hockenson, especially through these first 3 weeks with no Jordan Addison. TJ Hawkinson's upside now lowered. And also, if there's a receiver who's going to be working some of the same areas of the field as TJ Hockenson, it would be Adam Thielen at this stage in his career. So, I don't know if people are going to actually react to the news or not, but he is somebody who I wouldn't be surprised if you end up seeing him a little bit later in your draft. Maybe some people there will be reacting to it in your home leagues. And then for the risers, let's see. We've got Travis Kelce. If you want Kelce, you may need to pop off on him. Rashee Rice news is sure to rise his stock in some time. So that's another speculative one. I mean, you can see the real-time data here actually hasn't really... why don't we go to half PPR first? But the real-time data here, even here, on Travis Kelce actually says he's fallen a little bit. TJ Hawkins maybe gone up a little bit via the real-time. That seems a little bit counterintuitive compared to the fact that one team's added and one team's detracted as of the latest news between those two, so that's a little bit odd. Both speculative kinds of takes. And then Tucker Kraft is someone who we have been seeing being taken higher in drafts. You can see the real-time ADP data here suggesting he's all the way up into tight end 8 territories, so a round and a half or so earlier than you've been used to being able to get Tucker Kraft. He might be going. He's just received a lot of positive buzz from a lot of people that I listen to in the industry, and that some people in your league are listening to at least one of those sources, multiple people listening to those sources combined around your league. And so he is somebody who, if you really want him, try not to wait too late. Tyler Warren's also someone who has generally been rising. I know, so you see Tucker Kraft's kind of jumped these guys. That's why they're all down a spot in recent ADP. But nonetheless, Tyler Warren still tends to go a little bit earlier. People tend to be willing to pop off on him as early as the 7th and definitely into the 8th round. Tends to be where he's going. So if you really want him, you might need to take him there, at least in the 8th. Maybe be okay not getting him in the 7th. Jake Ferguson has been getting a lot of good publicity as late, maybe going a little bit earlier than you would suspect. Where is he? Right here. You can see recent ADP gone up a little bit. So he is somebody who just, when you see the ADP, maybe don't say, I'll wait on that, I'll push my luck. Maybe just grab him that round earlier than the ADP might be suggesting for you to do. Others that may be eyeing up guys, others in your league might also be, eyeing up guys like Chig Okonkwo's gotten some good reviews from people here and there over the last couple of weeks in the industry, as well as Brenton Strange right behind him, who the real-time data does show Brenton Strange has been getting taken a little bit higher. All right, might be a little bit of an awkward cut here. I'm just going to remove the last person. I was going to talk about Cade Otton, but he might miss the start of the season at this point, so we won't talk about that. We don't talk about Bruno. Let's move on to the running backs, and we've got some fallers for you in the running back room. Devon Achane going a little bit later than he had been going. All news has been positive for him to be available week 1, but he still might fall a little bit in your league. You might end up being able to get him mid-second round or so, where he was starting to move up into that 1-2 turn type of area. So not too much actionable you can do on that, but strategy-wise, when it comes to wide receiver or running back, picks 7, 8, 9 or so, especially talking 12-team league, but even in a 10-team league. Okay. Well, in a 10-team league, even 5, 6, Achane might make it to you. So keep that in mind when you're making that first pick. Then we've got Breece Hall is somebody who has been falling. You can see the real-time data will support that. Might actually start to become a value for you in some drafts. He can tend to tumble even a little bit further, depending on, just what the individuals in your league end up thinking. But you could probably grab someone else in front of them and wait for your next pick. If you like him in the 3rd round, you very possibly might be able to get him in as late as like that 4-5 turn now with a little bit of luck if you like him. Joe Mixon, someone who's falling for good reason. I don't know how low he is now, but just don't mess with that. Don't go grabbing Joe Mixon wherever he is. Don't get fooled by that ADP. You can see he's sliding here all the way down into 38 and even later. So I would not suggest that unless it's just one of your last picks in the draft that you're going to take a shot on. And then Quinshon Judkins is somebody else who has been falling drastically in drafts, going a little bit behind Joe Mixon yet. Don't get overly concerned about if he's somebody you want to take the chance on. Don't pop off on him early. He's probably going to fall in your draft. That ADP is probably a little bit too high if you're drafting online. So even if you want to, just wait until like at least round 10 before going ahead and grabbing him, and hopefully he'll still be available. A little bit of a possibly good sign for Quinshon Judkins. I don't want to say for sure a good sign, but the Browns only kept 2 running backs on their 53-man roster. So does that mean, do they know something about that incoming 3rd running back? Because that's not enough really running backs on a roster. Brian Robinson Jr., of course, falling for good reason. He's a backup in a good in a good running back room now. So he's still somebody that you can draft, or I should say on a good team. He's still somebody that you can draft, but that ADP might be a little bit boosted up. Don't get too freaked out by it. Cam Skattebo has been falling without much talk about him, with him, having the injury and everything. Where is he on this list? So he goes kind of a little bit before some of those previous guys that we're talking about still. But, he's becoming a good value, I think-ish. He hasn't fallen a whole heck of a lot. Maybe you could think that he should have fallen more, but you could probably wait until the 10th round before you grab Cam Skattebo these days. And for Najee Harris, he seems to continue to fall despite good news happening on him. So Najee is another guy who you could probably get really late, who might provide a little bit of a floor for your team at least. And Tyjae Spears is, of course, falling with the injury news for him. So let's move on to some risers. Let's see. There are those who doubt that Ken Walker and those who believe. So, yeah, Ken Walker is one. It just kind of depends on your league. But currently a slight bit of a riser. Generally, that seems to be the case. He had fallen down boards while being injured throughout the entirety of the offseason, essentially, but he's reportedly back and healthy again, so you kind of just see him rising back up a little bit. Another riser that you might see is not showing as of late that he's rising up more, but Travion Henderson, there might be somebody in your league who's going to pop off of him as early as the 3rd round, but he almost certainly won't be making it out of your 4th round, so if he is somebody that you really want, you're probably going to have to reach for him a little bit more than that ADP is suggesting in your league. Tony Pollard is rising with the Tyjae Spears news. Tyjae Spears going to miss the first 4 weeks at least, of course, and so Tony Pollard is someone who has been rising. There you can see that real-time data suggesting he's going, at the front of a group that he previously was going behind. And that seems to be pretty true in some drafts that I've seen, even of friends' drafts of mine. He's probably not going to make it out of early portion of the 5th round anymore. That's kind of when that running back room is going to start to go. That group, I should say, of running backs will start to go, and he might be at the top of that list now. The group of 10th-ish round running backs, they're moving up. That's going to be your Tank Bigsby group. Right here, you can see this group, all of them moving up, spots-ish in the draft. Don't necessarily know that they're all going a whole lot earlier. Some of this is because of guys like Quinshon Judkins, Brian Robinson Jr., and Joe Mixon. It has to do a little bit with these guys' rise. Nonetheless, they are starting to go a little bit earlier, so just when you're looking at your board, who you're comfortable with, plan on some of these guys maybe going ahead of some of those other guys that are higher up, or even just a half round earlier than they had been going previously. So that's Tank Bigsby, Bill Krosky-Merritt, Javonte Williams, Ramondre Stevenson, Braden Allen, Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb. Could start to go closer to the 8th round than closer to like the 10th round where they were going, and someone might pop off on Bill Krosky-Merritt even earlier than that. 7th round, 8th round is really as early as he might go. So just a heads up on that group of guys, that running back group just getting pushed up boards a little bit. Don't be afraid to pop off on Dylan Sampson a round or 2 earlier to guarantee getting him if you want to take a shot on Dylan Sampson. There you can see his stock has been spiking as of late, so don't trust that ADP on him, or don't, this is something I did in my draft. I had a fairly short span between my drafts, but I looked at the people and I looked at one of their teams, and it was borderline if they would need a running back or not, but it was a player who I thought might be a little bit up on some of the more current news, so I decided to take Dylan Sampson, and sure enough, they took an interesting name themselves around that turn anyways at running back, so I felt like maybe I was right to do that. He's getting some good publicity with, and people are starting to get more and more familiar with that name. Ollie Gordon has been on the rise, of course, as of late. Here you go here. Not as much of a spike as Dylan Sampson. Very interesting, but his ownership definitely has been going up. So I would just say let somebody else take him, unless you're trying to take your handcuff for Achane, in which case, just don't get too assertive with it. It looks like Achane's going to be there week 1, but there's nothing wrong with handcuffing if you want to handcuff. Bashal Tutin, if you love him, there might be one other person in your league that also loves him. You can probably pinpoint the 2 or 3 people that might be, like I said, with my do I wait or not on Dylan Sampson? It was like, well, there's a player who I know might be a little bit more up on recent news, so I'll just go ahead and take him now instead of waiting for the next 5 picks to go off the board. So use that to your advantage when deciding whether you should wait for ADP or jump on him and, some of the other less known names earlier on in drafts, or I should say later in drafts, so that you can see Bashal Tutin and a little bit of rise with this real-time ADP data. Also, I have a massive tier of running backs, from running back 28 being Jaylen Warren all the way down to running back 45 being Trey Benson. Just this massive group of guys who are in split backfields, have roles but aren't going to be the main guys in the backfield, maybe aren't on the best of teams, cloudy situations. So don't be afraid to take advantage of that group, going from anywhere across 60 picks according to ADP for running backs 28 to 46. Of course, this doesn't match my rankings exactly, but all I'm saying is you might not need to, like Tyrone Tracy, I have ahead of this group, for instance, but it does start with Jaylen Warren in my grouping. So you don't necessarily have to go ahead and draft at the top of this group. You can wait, and you can still get guys who will probably be very close to as good as some of the guys you might have gotten up at the top of this, or grab one at the top, one a little bit later, instead of popping off into it, getting scared of them. Because there is this really wide group of talent of guys who are going to be somewhat fantasy relevant, even if they're not, some of them might have a chance to be very, very fantasy relevant. A lot of them will probably be mediocre, and that's why we're taking them here. But there's just a big group of those guys this year. Really, really big group of those guys this year. Let's look at the wide receivers to finish this up. There we are with the wide receiver data. Some fallers. You might find that Tyreek Hill is still available a little bit later than you were anticipating in drafts. You can see that real-time data also falling for him, just Miami in general, outside of Ollie Gordon. Those guys are falling a little bit. You might be able to get them late third, early fourth even, so keep that in mind when you're looking at the draft board. DJ Moore might be available later than you expect as well. He's somebody who's been getting a lot of bad pub. I've been nervous about him all off season, and just some of the talk coming out of Chicago, coming out of people who've gone and visited the off season camps and watching how the team's using him and everything in general for fantasy football. People don't seem to be too excited about that possibility, and there's a lot of people thinking that there is a pretty decent chance that Rome Odunze will be the better fantasy asset than DJ Moore. So he's somebody that's going to be falling, and if you like DJ Moore, you want to take that chance. You might be able to wait around a turn instead of having to pop off on him early. If you like Rashee Rice, you might pop off on him in as early as the 7th round. You might even need to do that. I would push my luck and hope that he makes it to me in the 8th if I liked him there. So, Rashee Rice is, he's overall been falling, but this has been good news for Rashee Rice. Getting this suspension done in the early portion of the season makes him a little bit easier to roster, and you know exactly what you're getting in him. But yeah, he's someone who, be careful, but also, if you want to get him, you kind of have to go out to try to get him. Apparently people are now down on Jeudy. I don't know exactly where this is coming from, but yeah, Jerry Jeudy does have is sliding in that real-time data there, as you can see, a little bit lower in drafts. I don't know. Was there a contingent of people who were just really, really strong Shedeur Sanders believers, and now that they're disappointed? I mean, this is good for Jerry Jeudy, that it's going to be Joe Flacco. So I don't know why he would be falling in drafts, but apparently he's falling a little bit later, so hey, good for you. And if you like him. And then risers, Nico Collins tends to be on the rise, a little bit harder to get. I don't know how actionable that is for you, unless you're working at the 10-11 pick. Maybe you might just take him there and bank on somebody else falling to your next pick instead of banking on Nico Collins falling around the turn for you. Mike Evans is on the rise with the injuries there. People talking a little bit better about him, a little more confident in him, a little more concentrated target share going his way for at least the early portion of the season. I would anticipate that there's a chance that someone in your league might pop off on Xavier Worthy. He's been a bit of a riser in drafts after he was a little bit of a faller. Now we know exactly what's ahead of him. So yeah, he should be able to get off to a hot start for you. People might like that. So don't wait for him to make it to you in the 6th round. If you want him, you're going to have to pop off on him in the 5th then instead. George Pickens is a guy who's steadily been rising all offseason, still continues to rise here in the late portion of the offseason. So he used to be like a guy you could get 5, 6. Sometimes he would slip into the 7th. Those days are long gone at this point. He's more like a 4-5 turn guy. There's oftentimes somebody in your league that's going to pop off on him a little bit higher than the ADP. So if you want him, don't be afraid to take him around that 4-5 turn, or if he's still there in the 5th, don't bank on him making it to you in the 6th round. Players that someone might pop off earlier on than you expect via the ADP when you're looking at your boards. Guys who you might just want to take now instead of trying to push your luck, saying, well, the ADP suggests I can wait another round, or there's at least a decent chance that he'll be one of 2 guys that'll make it to the next round. I hope it's him. Instead, don't play this ADP game. These guys are all being taken as early as the 7th round, and that list is going to be Jalen Waddle, Rome Odunze, Ricky Pearsall. I'm not going to go find their names. Well, here's Ricky Pearsall, Rome Odunze, Emeka Egbuka, going as early as the late 6th sometimes. Once again, this is not me suggesting to you that you need to take these guys just because they're risers, just a reminder / an informative information here to let you know that these guys are going on the rise. So Emeka Egbuka sometimes going extremely early. If you really, really want him, you might have to pop off on him in the 6th. Don't bank on him making it to you in the 8th round. And then Matthew Golden could be going as early as he's not making it out of the 8th round for the most part anymore. So if you want Matthew Golden, you're going to have to go get him late 7th in the 8th round or so. It would be my suggestion. So there you go. Those are the late risers, fallers for you to not trust the ADPs on those guys for your drafts. Thank you very, very much for tuning on in. Good luck with your drafts this weekend. There will be another live mock draft tonight, Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Friday probably will go live. Friday might not, but keep an eye out for that Friday evening, same time. And also, good luck with your drafts. And don't forget, League Draft Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be there or get kicked from the league. Peace out. The Listener League. Bye-bye.